Okay, so I'm now going to do a sample standard deviation by hand. The only difference between the sample standard deviation and the population standard deviation is that you divide by your sample size minus 1 when you're doing your sample standard deviation. If you did your population standard deviation, you divide by the population size. I have a little comment in the notes called degrees of freedom, and it explains that you divide by the degrees of freedom for a sample standard deviation. Alright, so the formula for the sample standard deviation, S, is equal to the square root of the sum of each of the x values minus the mean squared divided by n minus 1. If it was a population standard deviation, sigma, it's almost the same. It's still the square root of the sum of each of the data points minus the population mean mu squared divided by your population size n. Degrees of freedom, n minus 1, population size n. Alright, so this is actually how you do it. And then along the way we get the variance. The variance, s squared or sigma squared, is just the formula underneath the square root symbol. So here's the variance, and then when you put the square root on it, there's the standard deviation. Okay. So suppose we have a small data set, and I'm going to do something very, very quick. I'm going to take a data set 1, 2, and 3. First you got to get the mean. And so the mean is the sum, add them all up, of each of your data points divided by your sample size. Okay, that should be an x, like that. Okay. So what that's saying is take the 1 plus the 2 plus the 3, and since there are 3 items in our data set, we divide by 3. And what you're going to get for your sample mean is 2. Now, to get our standard deviation, we're going to do for each individual x what's called the deviation. So you're going to go 1 minus 2, and you're going to add to that after you square it 2 minus 2, and you're going to add to that after you square it 3 minus 2. It's going to look like this. You're going to have the square root of, okay, our sample size is 3, because we have 1, 2, 3 items. And so we're going to go 3 minus 1. That's what we're dividing by. And now the way we actually write it out is 1 minus 2 squared plus, that plus is the summation symbol, 2 minus 2 squared plus, there's that summation again, and that's each of the individual data points, the 1 and the 2, and each of these are the means. And then the 3 minus the 2 squared. Okay. Now, forgive me, I'm doing this on my little coaching tablet here, so I don't have a lot of room to write. What this will change to then is the next step mathematically will be the square root of negative 1 squared plus 0 squared plus 1 squared, and that's all over 2. Well, this works out, and please note the square root symbol is all the way over that as well, the denominator as well. It's important that you catch that. So this becomes the square root, and after you square, you know, the 1 squared, the 0 squared, the 1 squared that we had, you have 1 plus 1 over 2. Well, that becomes the square root of 2 over 2, which is the square root of 1, which is just 1. Now I chose some nice values there. But that's how you do it. You take each of the data points, subtract the mean, and you square it. Okay. That's how you do it by hand. If you had a population, standard deviation, the only real difference in process is instead of dividing by 2, you divide by 3.